Good morning, beloveds. All right. It was cloudy when we went for the walk. Sun's come out, and the cat, which you cannot see because he's laying right here, has this stripe of sun across him, the strip of sun across him. He's a black cat, but when you see him in the sunshine, he's cinnamon brown. So there's this stripe of cinnamon brown on my black cat. It's really cool. It's really cool. All right. And of course, he's thoroughly enjoying the sunbeam, as we should all go and do occasionally. All right. It is March 7th. Our title is Godliness and the Substance of Riches. And our author is Annie Ricks Militz. And this is from both Riches and Honor from 1945 from Unity. All right. And she is going to start off with a quote from the Bible. He shall be like a tree planted by the stream of water that bringeth forth its fruit in the season, whose leaf also doth not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And that is Psalm 1:3. Thus is the godly person described as regards to their good fortune. There are some of us who did not come into this existence with a silver spoon in our mouth. It seems to us that all our goodness has been fruitless, that fate is against us, and that there is no use in trying. If we have started life as bankrupt people, then the more must we have resolution and determination and a courage that knows no defeat. The law of Christ removes the past burdens and debts that may have been loaded upon our shoulders. No matter what bad luck may have been ours from birth, this day we come under the law of our Christ self and believe in the God promise that our good shall take tangible form here and now. Exercise a patience that is one with absolute trust, and never even in the secrecy of your own chamber acknowledge any slowness of manifestation or any failure as real or lasting. The treasures that you have laid up in heaven, the within, are destined to take form as the treasures on earth. You do not need to wait for another incarnation, but your good of today can be expressed here and now as an overflowing plenteousness of the world's good. Plenteousness. Okay. I thought Ernest was the only one that made up words. Apparently, that's a thing in New Thought. Okay. Oh my goodness. I always hate the prosperity ones. And yet, so my parents were very young when they got married and had me. And my father, joined the Air Force when they found out that they were pregnant. And Mom actually started in the secretarial pool of the, I think the IRS. My father was in the Air Force, so Mom got a government job, right? And the greatest gift that my parents gave my brother and I don't know if they did it on purpose. Honestly, I don't know. I guess that would be a conversation that I could have with my parents, is that my brother and I never realized that we were poor. Okay? Looking back now, I can see. We never went hungry, as far as I know. I don't ever remember being hungry. I do remember lots of not pretty labeled food in the house, especially as a young child. When we would go to the PX and we would buy, we didn't buy Kraft macaroni and cheese. Our Kraft macaroni and cheese was in a yellow box with black writing, and I'm sure it was a whole lot cheaper than Kraft macaroni and cheese. Point B. We wore hand-me-down clothes, a lot of hand-me-down clothes. We also wore clothes and shoes until they fell apart before we bought new ones. So looking back now, I can see we didn't have a lot growing up, but my parent, so that, but I didn't know at the time, and because we didn't, I don't know, I guess electronics weren't a thing, so, I didn't have to keep up with the Joneses because I didn't know about the Joneses. And because my parents weren't focused on, like, fashion and all of that, they bought good quality stuff that lasted and then let us wear it out. Or they were handed down stuff, good quality stuff. And the only pair of Jordan jeans that I ever owned was a hand-me-down from a neighbor. But I, so I was never brand conscious. I was never, and maybe it helped that I kind of grew up in a small town. I didn't get a car when I turned 16. I didn't even get a car. I didn't get a car until I was halfway through college. So I just never noticed. So my prosperity consciousness has never been around that kind of stuff. It has been, I grew up with some good friends. I grew up with a fairly tight-knit family. I grew, and so relationships were always very important, and the richness of relationships. And one of the greatest gifts my parents ever gave me was reading. And that, you want prosperity consciousness. They gave me the gift of imagination and worlds. But I also watched my mom go into school when I was a child to better herself. She started as a secretary in the IRS pool, and when she retired, she was the equivalent to a full-blood colonel as an electrical engineer with the U.S. Air Force. So, I watched her do that. That is what Annie is talking about. The burdens that you were born with, you do not have to. So the burdens that I came into this world with, they weren't my parents' burdens. I watched how they managed them. And in some cases, that gave me the ability to make different choices. I watched the way my father managed money. And I love my father, but my father was not good at managing money when he was young. He was very impulsive. So, and I watched how my mother managed, that, and then I made different choices. Like my partner and I have a whole completely different relationship with how we manage money together. Because I watched the way my parents did it. I watched my mother go back to school to get educated. I watched my father go back to school. Both of them have master's degrees, as do I. So so we were talking about free will thing. I cringe every time I hear somebody say God's in control, because I always want to lean in and go, yes, but God gave you free will. That doesn't give you a pass. It means you have to go out and do stuff. And so I watched my parents better themselves, but I'm grateful for the two gifts that they gave me in the never knowing that I was poor. Like I said, they figured it out. I don't ever remember being hungry as a child. They figured that out. And they gave me the gift of reading, the love of reading, so that, I can read these kind of books all day and never felt the lack of. And so that's just it. The burdens that we are born with, we don't have to carry with us. we can move past them. I watched my parents do it, and watching my parents allowed me to make different choices. Every now and again, yeah, that feeling of lack rears its ugly head. As she said, never even mention it in the secrecy of your chamber. Well, every now and again, it rears its ugly head, and then I look around and I look at my world and I go, you know what? It's just a feeling. It's just doubt. It's ego. That's what it is. In my case, it's ego. You know, my ego going, you don't have enough. You don't have enough. Well, yeah, I do. I do. Because what I have, I can be creative with. Just like I watched my parents be creative with, you know, with what they had. And what they accepted. And they didn't accept the life the way that they had it. They went out and made a different life for themselves. Is it better? I don't know. But different. And mine is different. Is it better? I don't know. But it's different. And for the most part, I'm happy. What else can I ask for? If Raymond Charles Barker says the definition of prosperity is being able to do what I want, when I want, I'm mostly happy. So, I'm mostly prosperous. So, you know, and maybe it's because my wants aren't big. Because they didn't need to be. Because I didn't know about the Joneses growing up and snort at the idea of them now. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the gift of the imagination that allows me to live. Yeah, what is it that they say about readers? They live 1,000 lives and die 1,000 deaths, while somebody who never reads only lives one. That's the benefit of being able to enjoy reading. You get to see how other people live and how other people feel. You get to get inside other people's heads. And it creates an empathy within you that I'm not sure that people who don't read don't have. So, because we've lived 1,000 lives and we've died 1,000 deaths. Okay. Very contemplative today. All right. The law of Christ removes the past burdens and debts that may have been loaded upon our shoulders. No matter what bad luck may seem to have been ours from birth, this day we come under the law of our Christ self and believe in God's promise that our good shall be tangible from here and now. It literally is about changing our minds. They say change your mind, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Sometimes the only thing we can control is how we feel about a situation. Once we know how we feel about a situation, then we can make other decisions. So, yeah. Yeah. And then she does go into the treasures you have laid up within, you have laid up in heaven, the within. And that's where all prosperity work happens. Prosperity work happens in here and in here. And then it will show out here. And sometimes what it does is it reminds us what's really important and reminds us that we are prosperous now because we have a richness of relationship. We have a richness of friendship. We have a richness of imagination. We have a richness of community. And we have the richness of spirit that will remind us that nobody should go hungry. And if we have enough, that we can go out and fight for the people that don't. So, and maybe fight isn't the right word. Maybe what it is we can go out and change the systems. Change the system so that everybody has enough. And then everybody can be prosperous. Because prosperity has little to nothing to do with money. Little to nothing to do with stuff. and has everything to do with the richness of spirit. And that's why we fight for, that's why we work towards, we don't fight for, we work towards a world that works for everybody. Because we want everybody to go to bed with full bellies in a safe space and to be able to work on the treasures within. The treasures within. Yeah. You can only turn to a spiritual life when your basic needs are met. So that, I guess, would be the mission today, is to accept that. She calls it the law of Christ, to accept that law of Christ, to know that whatever circumstances we came into the world with, we don't have to continue to live with, that we have the power to change them, and being open to the guidance that will help us do that. So, all right, that is the mission today. And I just told you way more about myself than I intended to, but that's the job, that's the job. All right, so I'm going to remind you, do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. I'm going to remind you to my favorite Ernest Holmes quote, open the windows of your soul, allow the breath of heaven to remind you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you all the time. Okay? That's part of creating that consciousness, is being aware that it's all God's stuff. I'm going to remind you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I commend them to you. We try and post light, bright, uplifting, and helpful, useful stuff. And the YouTube channels, there are hours and hours and hours of content on both of the YouTube channels. So please feel free to check that out. I'm going to remind you that if you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. That'll get you on our constant contact. It's one email a week, okay? He doesn't have time for more than that. Okay, now I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a know who you are day, a recognize your source day, a redefine prosperity day, a let go of the burdens you came into the world with. They are not yours. A wrapping up the week day, a getting ready for the weather tomorrow day, a enjoy the cool breeze day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 a.m. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.